It's officially 6:30, so we will call this meeting to order, and we would like to welcome you all. And at this time, we will stand for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 1, adoption of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda.
Motion by Ms. Hendricks,
Second.
second by Ms. Richardson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0 with Ms. Considine absent. Public comments. Miss Judy Hicks. Come on.
I'll let somebody else go first, but nobody gets signed.
No, it's just you.
Okay. Well, thank you, board members and Dr. McComas for providing the opportunity for public comment related to setting property tax rates. I'm here this evening because I continue to be an advocate for students and for education in our district. I'm here to support the board members because I want you all to succeed. I'm here to support our new superintendent, Dr. McComas, because I want her to succeed. But most of all, I'm here because I want all of our students, from our 3- and 4-year-old preschoolers to our 17- and 18-year-old graduating seniors, to have the best educational opportunities that will help them to succeed. So, I guess from that you interpret that, yes, I encourage you to adopt the tax rates that are being recommended by the superintendent to assist in providing these opportunities. Nelson Mandela, anyone's a big fan of Nelson Mandela? I sort of am. He was kind of a social revolutionary, statesman, philanthropist, former president of South Africa, and one of his best quotes, "Education is the most powerful weapon you can use to change the world." So, let's seek to empower our students with the best educational opportunities possible so that they can change the world. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank
Hicks.
Thank you.
And that concludes our public speakers.
Nobody else signed that.
No, we can always count on you. Item number 2, discussion on the 2021-2022 tax rates for real property, personal property, motor vehicles, and utilities. Let me turn this one over to you.
Do we want to do the presentation part?
I think it'd probably be most appropriate to go ahead and do the presentation,
I'm
that way
fine
you all
with
have
that.
more context.
Is that okay with the board?
So I asked Ms. Ellis to generate information around not just what the ask is, which is taking the full 4% with exoneration, but to also look at what has been left on the table in previous years. Not to like call out anything, but to also just to show us what that continued leaving money on the table is gonna look like in the context of public education. So one of the things that the board asked about was like that retention of staff when I got hired. And part of it is making sure that we can constantly recruit and retain the best and the brightest. And we're not going to be able to do that without making sure that we are generating the right revenue in order to make sure that people are fairly compensated and that we're attracting the folks that have made Clark County Public Schools great. Okay, thank you.
So I want to first start by kind of recapping of where we started and how we got to where we're at. So if you'll recall back in January when we presented the draft budget, with our current staffing allocation as it stood and cutting our operation budgets to what we considered bare bones at that point, we were still almost $1.2 million in the deficit. So between January and February, when we presented the staffing allocation, we were given quite a bit of money in the CARES Act, as it was being referenced at that point, from the state due to all the COVID that was going on. These were federal dollars that were starting to be sent down to the district levels. So when we presented you the staffing allocation in February, we took the opportunity to use that CARES Act money to keep our current staffing, because we had said in January that's where we had to start looking at some budget cuts, is looking at our staffing allocation. But due to the nature of being virtual for so long and knowing that our children needed extra help, extra classroom support, and smaller class sizes, we decided to keep all of that staff on board, and we moved 19 staff members to our CARES Act funds, which was roughly $820,000 at that point. So we're 1.2, we've moved 820. With cutting additional funds, we got ourselves balanced at that point when I was looking at the budget. Come March, we find out we're going to be funded on full-day kindergarten instead of half-day kindergarten. So that added $683,820 to our budget, which was great. That was fantastic news. It increased our SEEK. We're not sure how long that will remain within SEEK. That is a year-by-year budget decision by the governor if we're going to keep funding full-day kindergarten. So we'll have to see how that continues down the road. So when we presented the budget in May, we added a few items back that were requested, but that still left us with an excess of roughly $550,000. So we were good at the draft budget point. So where do we stand now? So we're getting ready to present you all with the working budget in September. And so known adjustments of salary changes that have been made over the last few months, other expenditures that have been approved, and knowing that we are going to eventually bring you all a capital funds request for those summer projects that you approved. So kind of putting all that in the budget and thinking that through. And I'm still working on numbers. That's literally what I was in my office doing right before I walked over here. I'm crunching those numbers for our working budget. But tentatively right now, we're still in excess of $329,000, okay? However, we need to keep in mind, we have 19 staff members who are being federally funded right now, and we've got to make a plan that in 3 years, when these funds end, we got to get them back over to the general fund. So in order to do that, there's several steps, over the next couple of years that we have to make some decisions in our staffing, in our tax rates, in our revenues, and how we're spending our dollars. So that kind of brings us to where we're at of discussing what this possible tax decision tonight is, how it's going to affect our budget. All right? So with that, you were provided the tax reports that come from KDE showing all the property values, and we actually increased property this past year 2.4%. We had budgeted that it would go up 1.5%. So anytime our local property goes up, our local dollars that are generated, our state dollars are going to go down, okay? So we already accounted for 1.5% increase of that, which was a little over $200,000 at that point. Actually, it's probably a little closer to $300,000. It was $290 something, I believe. So now we have to account for this additional between the 1.5 and 2.4. So our SEEK is going to go down an additional $85,381 from what is currently sitting in the tentative budget. So when you're presented that working budget, you're going to see SEEK has decreased by at least that amount. And I've provided that SEEK calculation you all are used to seeing of how all those numbers are filtered out. All right, so where we're at right now, we're in an excess of $330,000 in our tentative budget. We know we're getting ready to go down $85,000 with the SEEK adjustment. We have roughly $820,000 in payroll to move back. Again, we have 3 years to think about that, but just trying to put the numbers in perspective, if we went to move those people back this next school year, we're still $575,000 in the deficit to be able to move those 19 staff members back, okay, when we're looking at all our numbers of how they fall out. So, I wanted, and this is one of the things Dr. McComas referenced, is kind of the difference between our numbers. So I wanted to show you all, in 1920, we did take the 4%, and you see our revenues match of the rate adopted to the 4%. In 2021, we kept our same rate. So you see, had we taken the 4%, the blue line, we would have had some excess revenues that we did not collect because we decided to keep our same tax rate. So I went ahead for 21, 22 to show you that difference. Obviously, we have not adopted a rate at this point, but I wanted to show you that green line is if we stayed at our current rate, that's what it would look like, and then the blue line is if we adopt the 4% tonight. And so even if we do adopt the 4% tonight, that will generate $361,000 excess revenue for us that we don't currently have in our budget. I just told you we need $575,000, so we're still short $214,000. So keep that in mind. Again, we're not going to move all those people back in 1 year, but that's something to keep in mind going forward. It's going to take us a couple years in decision making to round all this back out for our budget. I wanted to include this slide. And first, I want to give props to one of my finance clerks who helped me put this presentation together. She is like the guru of Excel and PowerPoint and has made this all look great and perfect. So her name is Lindsay Reffin. She's doing a great job for us. But she put this together. So we wanted to show kind of roughly our citizens out there, our community members, if they owned a house that was roughly 100, 200, 300,000, what that would look like. So the bottom rate is if we kept our same tax rate. On a $100,000 home, they're paying $637. If we go to that 4%, we're going to pay $649. So that's an increase of $12 for the year, and so on. Okay? Stop me and ask questions at any point if you all have questions, please. So this is kind of hard to see up there, so I hope you all have it in front of you. This is basically just kind of looking at our historical rates that we have adopted. And I want to give kudos to the board that we have never gone backwards. You all have at least taken the 4% or you've kept your same rate. And that is huge in our tax revenues, because if you had taken compensating, you really kind of make yourself stagnant for a year and you just keep the same revenue you had the previous year. So every year we've at least built some revenue by at least keeping the same tax rate. So that is a good decision on your all's part through the years. So the graph, basically, the blue line is your 4%, the green line is if we had taken a 2%, and then the red line that flows down through there is the rate you all actually adopted. So that's kind of just a picture of, you see the years that we fell a little short of even 2% a couple of years by keeping our same rate, that if we had done, and that's kind of what the numbers in the box up here show, is our 4%, a 2%, and then our current rate, just kind of that comparison that it's good to keep your same rate and not go at a lower rate, but if we could at least try to maybe future thinking, if we're not comfortable with the 4%, doing a 2%. Just keeping that in mind for future reference. So, this is what Dr. Comas had requested, of kind of looking back by the years we did not take the max rate we could take, what we left on the table. And we've talked about this before, that anytime you don't take your max rate and the monies you leave on the table, they compound every year. Because how the state calculates that rate for us is they look at what you earned the prior year and build that rate for you. So in a year you left money on the table, you missed out on that calculation that they make for us. So up until this past year, we basically have left almost $1.7 million on the table by not taking the 4%. Now that number could have been much higher had we taken compensating, but so at least we kept our same rate. But if you look at, had we, what I just talked about, had we at least adopted a 2%, we would only have $360,000 left on the table versus the 1.6. So even just kind of maybe trying to maintain a 2% revenue raise is still better than even keeping your current rate. Does that
So
make
is
sense
that-
what I'm saying?
Is that 1.7 over the course of all of these years that you have listed here?
Yes. So it started in 15-16 was the first year. Back to my data when I started tracking this, 2012-13. 15-16 is the first year you did not take the 4% raise, and you left $289,000 on the table. So from that point forward, we're compounding that number. So the next year you did take 4%, so you still only left $289 on the table. Well, the next year you did not take 4%, so you add in what you lost, and then it starts compounding until we get up to where we're at is the 1.16. Does that make
Yes.
sense?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions before I move on from that? So this is our projected revenue based on what the rate was adopted and what we were projecting we were going to collect, and then what was actually collected for us. And I have to give the sheriff wonderful props because he does a fantastic job of collecting taxes for us. I've talked to a lot of surrounding counties and they are nowhere near close to this collection rate. So he does a great job for us. And so our average collection rate is the 97.8 that you see sitting there was last year. So when you average all that out, we're at like 97.9 from all the years. So I mean, that's a really fantastic collection rate. So I just wanted to kind of show you what that looked like, because that goes into consideration of our budgeting side. That's what we talked about kind of prior of I'm projecting those budgets, so I'm trying to project with that collection rate in mind so we're hitting our targeted budgets every year. So our tax collector commissions and the sheriff provided a letter and kind of some other county comparisons of what those districts pay their sheriff's office in collections, but the KRS says that we shall pay between 1.5 and 4%, so we cannot pay more than 4%. That is our top as a school district. The sheriff is actually receiving 4.25 from all the other entities that he collects within the county, and we currently pay 2.25%. So as I said, our average collection rate for the past 9 years is that 97.9. So we're right at 98% collection rate, which is really good. So we wanted to show you, in considering raising the tax commissions to the sheriff, what that would look like. So currently, if we're talking about taking the 4% rate and taking that 98% collection rate into effect, currently paying 2.25, we're looking at paying $430,738 in tax commissions this year. So we kind of laid out a couple scenarios of what, if you raised a half a point, my brain just kind of pooped out on me there. Sorry, if we went up a 0.25, a half, and a full, what that would look like. So we're kind of recommending meeting in the middle at 3%. And so that's going to raise our tax commissions $143,000, okay?
And if I may,
Yes, please.
Sheriff Purdue and I've had several back and forth conversations about his service to us, our involvement with him, beyond even the tax rate. He has not had a rate, and you'll see when we get to the other part of the meeting, 5 years, is that correct?
Yeah, right around 5 years.
Okay.
And it was probably 20 years before that.
Okay, so just to put that in perspective as we're going through this, I'm sorry, Ms.
No,
Mills.
you're fine. Yes, we raised it to the 2.25 my very first year here with you all. So it's not, nothing has been presented for a raise since then. So just to kind of summarize where we're at, if you adopt the 4% tax increase tonight and just an average of $150,000 home, that's about $18 annually increase for your community member. But that 4%, what it's going to generate for us, less the SEEK part, I just kind of went ahead and pulled that out, we're going to get an additional basically $350,000 in revenue for the school district in adopting that tax rate. So that's kind of just I wanted to summarize and compare that. And then the very last is just the recommended motions when you all get to the meeting decision part of what is being recommended by the superintendent and myself. Any questions?
Okay, thank you, Ms. Ellis.
Nice job, thanks. Any more discussion or conversation right now? Okay, would anybody like to make a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I'll make a motion to
Thank
adjourn the
you.
meeting. You're welcome. Anytime.
Motion by Ms. Hendricks,
I'll second.
second by Ms. Richardson. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0 with Ms. Constantine absent. We will reconvene in 8 minutes. I wonder if y'all just 7:00, so we will call the special meeting to order, and at this time, we'd like to welcome everyone and stand for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. And now the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, item number 1, review of the agenda, and item number 2 is adoption of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda.
Motion by Ms. Richardson,
I'll second that.
second by Ms. Hendricks. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. Public comments this time? No. No?
I gave you that script that we talked
Oh, okay, thank you. All right, item number 3. Discussion and consider approval to set the 2021-2022 tax rates for the real property, personal property, motor vehicles, and utilities. Any comments, concerns, any kind of discussion?
I just want to clarify, the increase that was discussed a while ago was around 350,000 at 4% this year.
She, I don't know if she went back over there.
Okay.
Do you mind going to check, Justin? Thank you. But what's your question?
The question was, it's a 350,000 increase, but if we do increase the sheriff's commission, the total increase would only be 207,000. that
would be-
correct?
That would be correct.
I apologize, I'm not paying attention to the
I was just asking, you mentioned earlier that the increase of, at the 4% increase would be around 350,000 to the budget, but also if we take the increased sheriff's rate, then that's 143, we're looking about 207,000.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any more questions, comments? Discussion? Sherry, you got anything down there in no man's land?
No, I'd like to make the motion to approve the 21-22 tax rates of 64.9 for real property, 64.9 for personal property, and 53.5 for motor vehicles, and 3% for utility.
Was that your recommendation? Because yeah. See, I'm trying to read the new one. I'm sorry, Sherry. I totally lost your motion in here. Okay. So this is what this says?
The second one down after discussion, you see the rationale.
Okay, that's exactly what she just said
Yes,
in this
ma'am.
rationale.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
got it. Motion by Ms. Richardson,
I'll second the motion.
second by Ms. Hendricks. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0 with Ms. Considine absent. I know I'm supposed to put that there.
Yeah, that's okay.
But we'll figure that
We'll
out
figure
later.
that out.
This is not Arlene's copy, correct?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. You don't have to, you have to just like double for me till I get this down. Item number 4, consider approval authorizing the superintendent, Dr. Molly McComas, to take necessary steps to support the Council for Better Education and its legal challenge to the unconstitutionality of this tax credits in House Bill 563. Dr. McComas.
So that is being recommended by one of our co-ops, the KEDC, that we belong to as a district, along with CKEC. And so we will be working in partnership through KEDC to do any recommended action that is diverting public tax dollars away from public schools and to private schools. And so I'm not sure what that will entail yet, but you were giving me permission to be able to act on our behalf in order to do the work around that House Bill 563 that is unconstitutional for our current tax dollars to support public education. And I believe Ms. Vance had uploaded a description, a little bit more detailed description for you all around that. Trimble County, several other counties have already enacted this. Again, there's no action at this time. It's more or less being proactive so that if and when we come to that, then I'm able to do that without having to reconvene meetings in between meetings.
And you'll use our board attorney as needed as well for this? Okay.
And keep you all abreast, you know, making sure that you're aware of what's going on.
You know, that's legal stuff. Okay. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Not, would anybody like to make a motion?
I'll make the motion to authorize Dr. McComas to take the necessary steps in regards to the Council for Better Education and House Bill 563.
Okay, motion by Ms. Hendricks,
I'll second.
second by Ms. Richardson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0 with Ms. Considine absent. Item number 5, approve the Clark County Sheriff Tax Collector's Commission rate of 3%. Dr. McComas and Alicia Ellis.
Okay, Ms. Ellis has already presented the information and what that would look like if we had different structures set in place. So Sheriff Perdue and I, again, have met, and he brought information that the total amount of taxes that he's collected over the years. So again, as Ms. Ellis pointed out, although our threshold cannot exceed 4%, he does receive 4.25% from other organizations within the community. He currently receives 2.25% from us, which is the highest that it's been after a 5-year increase. So he hasn't asked for anything in 5 years, and I didn't realize it was 20 years before that. So from other superintendents, collecting the taxes is only as good as the folks that they have sitting in the sheriff's office and the sheriff that's running the expectations for that office. So we are very fortunate to have Sheriff Perdue and his team that does that. I do feel like he didn't come in and ask for the full 4%, but we had the conversation knowing that that's what the compensation ceiling is. We started going back through negotiating something that's fair and that will kind of be as the new standard of what we're going to be doing and not going back and forth each year. And so he agreed on 3% would be a reasonable amount to add revenue to his office as well and not compromise other services that he's providing. I will say, in the meantime, we've also worked out some other things that we're going to have better partnerships with. So while he's asking for more money and I'm asking for you all to consider more money, we also are really improving. We already had a good relationship with Clark County Public Schools, but he and I are developing a good relationship to grow other services and supports for us as well. So I'm asking that you will consider and approve the 3% to be reimbursed to the Sheriff's Department.
Any questions, comments, discussion? I will comment. Thank you so much for all that you do. I mean, that is an incredible, 98%, that's great. So we do want to thank you for that. It's much appreciated. And for everything you do in the schools. I can't tell you how many times I've walked in Justice and he's in there being arrested by kids or whatever, or eating lunch with kids, and I see you a lot in our building. So we do appreciate everything you do for the schools.
I appreciate you all so much for just having a conversation and working with us. As Dr. McCollum said, there's much more we can do and we will do. COVID is not distracting for all of us on things. I see better days ahead, and I think we'll be fine.
Thank you.
And while you just got a glimpse of the requests on the PowerPoint that Ms. Ellis and her team put together, he also brought quite a bit, it was uploaded into your folder, but quite a bit of data, not just about Clark County, but about surrounding counties, school districts, so it's not isolated to the other organizations within Clark County. And I feel like it's a more than a fair request and probably overdue, in all due respect to Sheriff Purdue and his team.
Yes. Is there any more discussion or does anybody have any questions? If not, then I will make the motion to approve the Clark County Sheriff Tax Collector Commission rate at 3.0%.
I'll second.
All right, motion by Ms. Ritchie, second by Ms. Hendricks. Sorry, still working on this new thing over here, right? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries 4-0 with Ms. Considine absent. All right, item number 6, approve the Clark County Board of Education Superintendent to attend the KSBA Central Kentucky Regional meeting September 23rd, 2021. That is a mouthful. In Lawrenceburg, Kentucky. Miss Arlene needs to let them know, correct? If we are going to be attending.
That's a Thursday, I believe.
Yeah.
I will not be attending.
You will not be attending. Do I have to tell you right now?
No, but we can, I'm sorry, yeah, everybody needs to check their schedules, I'm sorry, sir. Mr. Tolby's in a new position too, so I know how those new jobs can go. But yeah, if we can approve it, so then that way, as you all look at your schedules, you can get with Ms. Nance and we can get that filled out.
Okay, so we got
Yes,
square
yes,
one.
yes.
Okay, I'll make that motion
Yeah.
to approve the Clark County Board of Education and Superintendent to attend the KSBA Central Kentucky Regional Meetings September 23rd, 2021 in Lawrenceburg.
Yes.
I'll make that motion to get myself back on track.
I'll second.
All right. See, that's when it really gets messed up because it's motion by Ritchie and second by Richardson. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion carries 4-0. Damn, I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Richardson,
I'll second.
second by Hendricks. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries 4-0 with Ms. Considine absent.
Thank you, guys.
Y'all are free to go.
Appreciate it. You wanna